And as promised, we are here with Randy Pascal from SudburySports.com. He is that Sudbury sports guy, and he's back in the hot seat. And I got to say, Randy, it's great to have you back.
Thank you. Am I inveterate?
Are you inveterate? I don't know. That's what you have to answer that question, right? Are you inveterate or are you not inveterate?
I was listening and I'm thinking, okay, as a sports writer, sports writers are not necessarily known for their extensive vocabulary. I'm always thrilled when I can throw cornucopia into a
cornucopia is
story.
The word Randy's proud of.
Exactly. So I do actually try to pride myself on trying to pick up new words from time to time from some of the better sports writers around. But no, I'm definitely not.
You know what I thought you were going to say though when you came in? I thought you were going to say I'm quite in what's the word again? I was thought you were going to say invetatory or something like that. I'm kind of invetatory sometimes. I was going to go, you actually know what that means?
I have a full inventory here of local sports. Close enough?
Yeah, inventory sounds close. Yes, okay. Inventory and invetatory, similar for sure.
We'll go with that.
And you do have a lot. There's no doubt about that. We talked last week about some of the things, and I was like, wow, you could do like a whole day. Day's, we could do a whole talk radio, sports talk radio, and have a full day of, if you unpacked all of these things.
Well, and part of it is just catching up, right? I mean, the fact that it's been a couple of years since you and I have had the pleasure of doing this sort of thing, and so there's been a lot that's happened. But even if you kind of narrow it down to the last, even less than 7 days, and what's coming up over the course of the week and in the next few days. So that we should jump into that.
I think you know what you wanted to start with one. Is it okay if we start with the 5 just because the game happened last night?
You go whichever.
I want to start with the Raptors a bit. Did you see?
No, because I was over at the other one. We were watching.
The Raptors went into the second half only 1 point down, and then it was like, the bottom fell out. It was terrible.
Well, there were people following it, obviously, at the scorer's table, so we were aware of the score, but thankfully we were, we didn't have to kind of witness it firsthand.
But the Sudbury 5 turned out a lot better than the Raptors, obviously, right?
So. And the Sudbury 5 were up by a few points at the half, and they've been playing really well. So they beat KW Titans quite handily last night, like 127-100, something along those lines.
Yeah.
They leapfrog Kitchener-Waterloo in the standings race, which is important because whoever comes out ahead of that will end up with home court advantage in that first round playoff matchup. Yep. Sudbury, of course, big news out of for that team has been the return of Braylon Rayson.
Huge
former
addition.
MVP, shoots the lights out, just gives them another component offensively.
Is he the best player in that league? He has been, though, right?
He has been at times. I actually think Jalen Bland right now is and there's others from other teams, but these are the ones obviously we get to see full time. Bland has been playing lights out this year,
nice.
And even more so when Braylon wasn't around, it put more emphasis on Jalen to have to do his thing. So he's expanded his game a little more. It's a really, really fun Sudbury team to watch, and the atmosphere and the number of people, AJ, that I've talked to about this. There is definitely a different atmosphere and different environment to the 5 game than there is at a hockey game for a whole variety of reasons.
The arena transforms. It's a totally different arena. You don't even feel like it's the same arena when you're in there. The 5 game. Atmosphere too of the game itself, like the whole experience.
Part of it, I think, is just the moment you remove the boards, right? Is you just feel that proximity to the athletes. You've got people at courtside.
It's more intimate kind of thing with the game.
And the nature of the sport is, that and basketball by its nature is up tempo. This league is that normal basketball on steroids. They just go.
Oh yeah.
We went 3.5 minutes yesterday to begin the game without a whistle.
Oh my goodness! Just end-to-end, just constant, just really back and forth. I know Billy was there last night. He was the sound guy there. So he's only his second game though. So it was interesting hearing that experience that Billy had. But
interesting.
Yeah, I've seen a couple Wolves games, a couple basketball games. The first thing I noticed was like the speed, which the whole thing goes, and completely different whole entertainment show.
Yeah, it's a big show too.
Yeah. Well, and from my end, of course, being a scorekeeper at both, It is a stark difference when you go from, a hockey game where things can get a little crazy at times if you've got a glut of penalties or some real rapid scoring.
For sure.
But it's, it doesn't hold a candle to trying to keep track of every single basket, every single foul when they're trading baskets at a frenetic pace. How's frenetic? It's not.
Zach, is that a good frenetic?
It's not a bad one? We're getting the thumbs up over there.
You get 2 points for that one.
Yeah.
2 points.
I'm not from beyond the arc yet.
Let's keep with the basketball theme today. That's awesome. Okay, so that's good. They're on the way to the playoffs, and it's just a matter of juxtaposition who they're gonna play, right? Or is that already determined?
I don't think it's finalized yet that it'll be KW, but it sure
more than likely.
Exactly. Okay. And it's who will have home court. Yeah.
Right on. Cool. Well, we hope all the best for our Sudbury 5 going into the playoffs. Now the OHL draft.
Yeah.
Lots going on there. The Wolves are going to select.
They're going to select. It looks like Nathan Villeneuve. Okay. Some sources have told me that it's already a done deal. Mm-hmm. Even if you don't subscribe to that, certainly a lot of speculation out there that it will be Villeneuve. So he's a forward from Ottawa area, played for the Nevada Grads this year. Bigger forward than what, for those that have seen the Wolves play this year, a lot of their top-end talent offensively is not necessarily at the higher end of the height scale, so this gives them a little different look. There was talk they might go for Sam Dickinson, who's a defenseman, highest-rated defenseman in the draft, and certainly I can understand that logic. They could probably use the help back there. I think the defensemen at the OHL level are a little tougher to project. Yeah. I think it's easier. You know what you get with a forward a little bit more, and I think that's probably – I haven't talked to Rob Papineau yet about it, but I would guess – that's the thinking on it.
That's the strategy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because if you look at the makeup of the team, you would say out of the three, forwards, defense, goaltending, forward would probably be the area of least concern heading into next year.
Well, but goaltending for sure, no? There's really
there's none. There's with all due respect to Jonathan Lemaire, I can't imagine
he never got enough ice time really to see if he was going to be a smooth transition to being a number one, right?
And he struggled when he did, and so and it would be an overager next year, and I just can't see them committing to.
They're going to have to go fresh with this.
So you're talking two goalies.
Exactly.
I don't think I think they will address goaltending in the entry draft, but I don't think anything coming out of the entry draft will be their answer for this year. It'll be, maybe if they can find a really talented youngster that they can bring in as a backup. The two spots, you'd say, well, if not the entry draft, either the import draft, which obviously could be key.
Happened with Ukko-Pekka, correct?
Absolutely. Happens with they've had a fellow by the name of Johan Mattsson before, Patrick Lechner.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Sudbury's had some luck with goaltenders on the import draft.
I think we got some key guys over there that really have some good eyes, right?
They seem to.
Yeah.
They seem to, certainly and especially with goaltending.
For sure.
Again, when you talk about the Villeneuve adding to the glut of forwards, you can always package, right? Put together a pretty decent package to go out and get yourself a 19-year-old goalie who's already established, maybe with a team that's in a different cycle than the Wolves. Maybe a team that's going to be rebuilding and would like to go younger. And so I think that's that. But you're absolutely right. They will have to address it between now and the time September rolls around.
And then a few local guys, too, in the mix.
Yeah. Not like, last year, obviously, we had Alex Fadin, who was drafted in the first round. We won't have anybody nearly that high this year. I think you're looking middle rounds probably at the highest end. So the two names that are coming up most prominently are forward Nolan Newton, originally from French River area.
We can term that Sudbury, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Close enough.
Well, he lives in Garson now. He's lived in Garson for a while.
There you go.
And has played his hockey in Sudbury since his major Pee Wee years. So really nice skater. Acquitted himself really well when he got a late season call up with the Cubs, which is always interesting. You see a 16-year-old perform with 19 and 20-year-olds.
Older, yeah.
And Tyson Rismond is the other one. He's a defenseman, very, very athletic, and very naturally athletic family. His sister, Anisha, just came off her rookie year with Laurentian basketball and had a very solid year with them. So, and both very similar. If you look at the two of them, you say, "Oh yeah, those are siblings. They same kind of physical build."
Right on.
So that will be, and then other names that could go that are local or have local connections. Carson Chartier is a goaltender, originally from Ottawa, moved to Sudbury a few years ago, but actually played this year. I'm going to say North York. It was down south somewhere.
Okay.
So he is expected to go. Braden Viss, another defenseman, might go. Caden Dubray might go. But they're less certainty. So we'll see. Okay. Again, Billy Biederman, who's 1 year older, played this year with the Cubs. Is still draft eligible. He could hear his name called in the later rounds. But I always, when it comes to those ones, I'm always cautious about putting the names out there, because I think the moment the kids or the parents hear the name, it's my kid's going to be drafted, and you go, okay, you do understand there's 400 kids whose names have been mentioned. You're in the mix, and there's a lot of factors in there that we don't even understand sometimes, right? That anything can happen in that case. You don't want to get your hopes too much up, right? Yeah. And sort of along that same line, it doesn't, if you don't happen to get drafted, that's not the end of the line. No. I mean, we've seen any number of so many great stories and, of people that have taken other roads too, and even got back. Absolutely. Made it into the NHL. How many undrafted superstars have there been in the past in the NHL? Boatloads out there. If you got it and in your heart and you got the drive and you got the work ethic and you got the dream, don't give up if you're not drafted, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. So, Northern Chill. Yeah, well, so April is the month of OVA provincials. Yeah. They did it a little differently. So, Ontario Volleyball Association, they traditionally have run that tournament out of Rim Park in Kitchener-Waterloo. Usually it runs on successive weekends. So typically they'll do like 4 weekends in a row, because they literally bring in every single team in the province, going from U12 up to U18. You're talking that's a lot. Oh, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of teams. And in different tiers, right? Yeah. So you've got they're in brackets of typically, I think it's 36 to a bracket. So I've seen divisions where it's like three deep. So you're talking 100 just in, let's say, U16 girls or U14 girls. So, exactly. Yeah. But the big story. So some of the teams from Sudbury have done some really nice things. The U16 Sub-Zero girls, we're talking historic accomplishment. We're not talking nice things. Oh, really? This is like earth-shattering. This is like that's. I guess I get so excited about it, and I so want for people to understand the level of what these girls have accomplished. Yeah, exactly. So traditionally, Sudbury teams have medaled down there. They have not medaled at the highest of highest, which you understand, because generally we're giving up population size, right? It's tougher to go against. It's true. You get into the GTA, and kids can move around there. For sure, definitely. They have an advantage because of population. Even if you're in Mississauga, the idea of somebody coming from Markham to play there, if they're really, really good, and that's the top team. So talk about underdogs kind of thing. Absolutely. Talk about total underdogs. So this Sudbury team went out. They were ranked well. They were ranked seventh in the province going into it. They had a tough opening day. They went 1-2 on opening day. So then they kind of reseed a little bit. So they go into the second day. They absolutely need to have a good day. They do, and they did. They win 3 in a row. But it was really the last game of day 2. They win it in 3 sets, and they lose the first set. Okay, picture this. I do. Yeah. They then go into the next game. Now it's elimination. They go 3 games in a row, losing the first set and coming back to win in 3. Man. So their backs, and some of the third sets were like 18-16, 15-13. Like there was, the margin for error was like nil. Sounds like a movie to me when you're explaining this, right? It's like a nail biter all the way. It was so much fun to follow. Even following it online, I was getting excited, right? And I'm not even there live. And they end up making it all the way to the final. They lost to the Halton Hurricane in 2 sets, but I think it was 26-24, 25-20. Okay. So certainly, a really solid performance, but silver medal. If I was guessing the next highest ranked team in the 20-year history of the Chill, maybe top 5, and I think probably between 5 and 10 is the highest we've ever had a team rank at the end, when all the dust settles at the end of the provincials. That's the highest. So this team, for it to, for the Sub-Zeros girls, and special congratulations, a couple of Mia LeMay Evans, whose sister is committed to Dalhousie earlier this year. Her older sister is going to be playing volleyball out there. And Fanny Goetze, name escaped me there for a second. Both made the All-Star team. Hannah Kerwin won. There's a special player award as well that she was given, one of the Valley girls out here. Some really nice. That's awesome. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's a really great way to, but part of your career, these are the times you look back on your life, and it's just going to be set in there for the rest of their lives. Yeah. And then silver medal, you don't really think, but like you said, for someone from Sudbury and to come that close to the gold, okay, it would have been great to have the gold, but like you said, this is incredible for them to get there and get the silver. Yeah. Anything else for that tournament that you wanted to talk about? Or?
There's still a few teams that are playing.
Okay.
So they're into the U18, starts up this weekend. Okay. The only thing they did differently that was they've run it now midweek as well, which is a little, so instead of going weekend, they kind of run it. I think they've compacted it a little bit more into like a 3-week stretch, but with you flow out of one, maybe have one day off, and then you're right into the next one. So
so
that's
a huge tournament. That's huge.
Oh,
like you said, all the age groups.
It would be wonderful to have a facility here that you could actually host even one division at. You think of the economic impact and the chance of getting all these kids up from families who don't necessarily get a chance to come and see Sudbury.
It would be wonderful to have a facility. Yes, it would be.
That's why sport tourism doesn't come off very often.
It would be wonderful. We talk about that almost at least once a day on the show. That comes up for sure.
No doubt.
Under 13 Lady Wolves.
Yeah, so so this is the month of provincials, right? We talked volleyball already. We're going to go hockey. There are basketball as well. They run for about a 6-week stretch as well with basketball Ontario championships.
Before the summer, it seems to be like all these things are. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Now, the girls' hockey, it is one weekend, and it's intense, and it's everybody. So the 10 or 11 Sudbury teams that were down there, some really good showings. The U18 AA team had probably their best hockey of the year, which was nice. Made it to the quarterfinals. Lost on just a heartbreaker, a bad call near the end of the game, and they end up losing the game 2-1. But the story, from a Sudbury perspective, you talk about a feel-good story.
Yep.
U13C girls. So this would be your third or fourth ranking team in terms of the grouping, right, of local teams. So if you're kind of putting it in perspective. They start the season, they have their tryouts, everything's going along. Oh, good, we've got a bunch of girls, they want to play. We don't have a goalie, which is a little problematic, apparently.
I think it would be, yes.
Yeah, ask the Wolves, right, if you want to start the year without a goalie next year. No, you kind of need one of those. So they one of the girls steps up and says, okay, if we're stuck, I will play in net.
Which that's the only thing that could happen, really, in a way, when you think about it, right? Like,
absolutely.
How else are you going to get a goalie?
Well, they ended up, the players go out and do their scurrying in the school system, right? Anybody know anybody? Do you know of anybody? So they end up picking up a young lady from the valley, and I wish okay, name escapes me right now, but anyways,
for sure.
Steps in, says, okay, I'll help you out. I'll come over from boys house league hockey. So they U13C, one of the challenges is there's not a lot of tournaments this year. I mean, with the pandemic, there's not a lot of tournaments. No. C division is tough because there's just not a lot of communities that fall into that. And Sudbury, because you have to get far enough down the pecking order, right? So they go to provincials. They had one tournament play before that, which they've done quite well. And they get out there and end up winning gold in double overtime.
That's awesome.
It was so exciting.
And in double overtime too.
It's such a nice story.
That's really cool.
And they do, and I guess one of the things why I really, I take to a story like that is because the reality is the C teams don't often get the same publicity that everybody's kind of focused on AAA hockey and then AA hockey, and you kind of work your way down. Yeah. Well, you're going a few rungs down the ladder to get to your C team. So it's kind of nice when you can shine a spotlight their way. And
I heard a lot of people even choose to play that because it's not as competitive and things. And even though there's really good players there, they don't like the whole atmosphere of these more competitive leagues.
So interest. You're bang on. AJ, where we really notice it is at the U18 level. So, and which makes sense because now you're kind of balancing between I've got post-secondary.
Oh yeah, you have a lot of goals in life,
right?
For sure.
So if you don't make the top team, which is usually if the girls from Sudbury are going to move on to post-secondary, chances are they're either playing U18 AA or they've gone south to play provincial women's. We hope they stay up here, but those are the two routes usually. Exactly. So if you haven't made that one, the next one down is usually the U18A, and then it would drop to double B. And you will, to your point, you will see girls that are definitely good enough to play on the A team, and they're probably borderline even AA players, but decide if I'm not playing on the top team, chances are
may not get the ice time too, and things like that, right? So you get more playing experience on the other ones, and lifestyle, like with the culture is different, and it just for a lot of reasons.
I'm not on the road as much. They don't have to. The two top teams both play out of the Lower Lakes League, which means that like half their games at minimum are down in the GTA in that area. Mm-hmm. So a lot less travel if you're playing in one that's a little bit more localized, which helps out a little bit. So
which is cool. So they got a gold medal. That's rare. That's so awesome. Was a nice one. So switching gears, you got a few other things you want to talk about. It looks like basketball.
Oh, well, also we can talk about all sorts of stuff.
We can talk about everything if we had the time. We got about 5 more minutes before Rob will be breathing down our necks because it's Pledge Week at CKLU, right?
Okay,
we got a lot of guests coming in and things like that. So
we haven't even talked China.
That's what I mean. So we're going to hopefully we'll be able to do this again, obviously next Friday too, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, let's go with a couple of highlights then to finish things off.
For sure.
You talk about never before seen accomplishment. Silah Swords, so the daughter of Laurentian basketball coach Sean Swords, was named to the BioSteel All-Canadian team. Now you're talking the best high school kids in the entire country. They bring them all into Toronto. She was there for national tryouts at the same time. She's a Llewellyn prep girl. So I got to believe we will be hearing things on the NCAA side.
Nice.
And probably a top-end NCAA school. Like a good, solid program, which is going to be exciting. We haven't had a lot of girls from Sudbury that get to that level.
For sure.
Chloe Lacasse. The soccer player, original of McDonald Cartier, went off and played played Iowa NCAA, went to Iceland, played for 2 or 3 years.
In Iceland?
Professionally,
wow. Yeah. What? They have professional
women's soccer.
In Iceland.
And it's gorgeous, apparently. I've lots of pictures. Anyways, now.
You heard it here first, or not if you're on Sudbury.com. But anyways, or SudburySports.com.
And then got picked up by, a team out of Portugal. And so she's been playing in Portugal the last 3 years now and has finally caught the eye of the Canadian team.
Wow.
So she's now made 4 or 5 appearances. Earlier in April, had her chance to play on Canadian soil wearing the Canadian jersey for the first time ever.
So cool.
So she's doing some pretty cool things. So she's at least on the radar. We've got a Sudbury connection. I was telling you to the men's team that's going to Qatar.
Correct.
I got to find out so Matt Spina, who is a local soccer administrator, got picked up by Team Canada. So he's been with them on this whole journey of qualifying every step. Oh, the stories, AJ.
Wow.
Talk to him about going to do a game in like El Salvador or Mexico and the kind of the atmosphere around it.
That's soccer. They breathe, live, eat soccer. That's all they do.
Just insane, right?
Yeah, it's more than hockey is to us, soccer.
Exactly.
To them, for sure, yeah.
So crossing fingers. I haven't talked to him in the last few weeks. I think he's going to Qatar with the team. That would be very, very cool.
For sure.
So on the
you're in contact with him, like you can get.
He is still in Sudbury pretty regularly.
Yeah, for sure.
Family
is well established. Updates on that.
Absolutely. Well, in the world,
I know.
Oh my god.
Social media and things, you almost just go on his social media and you can see what he's up to, right?
Interviewed Brandon Moxon the other day, who's playing soccer right now in Spain, in Barcelona. 25-year-old kid over there getting a chance to play a little bit. And the same thing, we were talking about the fact that it's such a global environment that we live in.
It's so awesome. And to see Sudbury people, because you wonder that soccer is popular here too. There's a lot of families that, but competitive soccer, I'm not really that familiar with ultra competitive soccer in this area, right? But to have these players from here compete at that level is really cool.
Yeah, we've seen, if you go back in time, you're absolutely right. Like in the 60s, it was one thing. We had a lot of imports coming in, Europeans that were coming over. But since that time, Brian Ashton, who played professionally with the Toronto Lynx, and then Jenna Hellstrom, who also has made appearances with the national team and is playing currently in Sweden. And there's a chance that she hasn't been picked up in the last couple of Team Canada sets of friendlies.
Okay.
But I think she's still in that mix. I mean, they're certainly aware of who she is. So
we have quite a few soccer
more than people, you would think.
Competing at high levels from Sudbury.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm sure a lot of people watching or listening didn't know that either.
Yeah.
So that's why we have you here. That's why Randy is who he is, and that's why he has SudburySports.com, and he's been doing this, I don't know, forever, it seems like. But
it'll be 20 years come the end of next year.
Oh, my. Yeah. I remember watching you on Eastlink and when you had the sports broadcast.
Oh,
so that almost seems like it was near the beginning then of when you were starting out.
It was just a year or two into when we very first laid down it was originally like a weekly 3-minute sort of thing, and then it kind of became part of the newscast. And and unfortunately they don't have the newscast anymore, but I still kind of I'm looking at a slate of 20 games of high school soccer coming up.
That's
so
awesome.
If anybody out there wants to join me on a soccer broadcast, let me know, and we can do some high school soccer together at James Jerome.
I'm sure there's all kind of people who would love to get volunteer hours and who love sports that could. So all they have to do is email you. How do they get in contact with you if they want to give you a hand?
So easiest, email? Either info@sudburysports.com, email, or even text me at 705-698-1627.
There you go. You heard it here first. Randy Pascal, that's Sudbury Sports Guy, SudburySports.com. Going to be joining each and every Friday.
Yes, that's the plan.
Going to be back on working on his podcast as well.
Yes.
Once he gets back set up, because the pandemic seemed to do a lot of things to a lot of us, and then we're all just kind of getting back at it again. So the podcast will be coming up again. We'll be able to share that with everybody every Monday on CKLU, and then you can catch it on your website as well.
Yeah.
And he'll be here live on Facebook and CKLU each and every Friday. So. Hey, AJ here. Did you like that video? Please like and subscribe for more. Just like it every weekday.
Share it with your friends so they can stay up to date with all Sudbury news.